Welcome everyone to today's session, and I especially welcome you on this Monday morning of a holiday week. Welcome to our new submit, quote, and bind session. My name's Mary Hussey, and I'll share with you the rest of the team, Zenith team that's on the phone. My name's Mary Hussey, and I'm part of the learning and development team. And I always say that I have the best job because the wonderful people of Zenith and on our technical side and on our underwriting side do all the work, and then I get to go, look what we have. And it's a really great product that I'll be sharing with you today. So I wanted to, and you probably saw this within the email, but I wanted to share just a couple of enhancements that you'll see in this system. One of them is you're going to be able to, let me hit admit, you're going to be able to enter accounts faster because we actually have fewer data entry fields. You're going to be able to locate your clients easily with the Google search integration, which is nice, and I'll be able to show that to you today. Easily track progress. We have a really nice status menu that I will be able also to show you on the left-hand side. You'll be able to quote on the go with a mobile app and then get instant quotes on eligible business. So we'll talk a little bit about that. What I'm going to run through for you today is I'm going to show you a straight through processing account, a Texas account. So you'll be able to see that. And then I'm going to share with you our Oklahoma, an example of our Oklahoma. And with Oklahoma right now, we don't have the accounts going through straight through. So in other words, they'll go through a referral process. But the good news is that we are working on that, and you will see that changing by the end of this year. So you will be able to quote, submit, quote, and bind straight through accounts for Oklahoma, not today, but in the future. I want to show you, though, how easy it is when you go in to refer an account for the underwriting team to look at. So we'll do a Texas example and an Oklahoma example, and then, of course, take any questions that you have. Today, you can raise your hand. I'll be happy to take you off of mute. You can enter your questions in chat. And like I said, we have a great team, and some of these folks you'll see available to answer those questions. If we have any towards the end, we have our technical team, which consists of Brett, Monsi, and Apri. And then we also have our underwriting team. Both Felicia and Drew are on the phone to answer any technical or any underwriting type questions that we might have. So I'm going to go ahead and pause for a second and see if you have any questions for me before I get started. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump right into the application. I actually wanted to show you exactly what it looks like and what it'll look like for you once we roll this out, which I think is by the end of this week or the beginning of next week. We will be pushing these enhancements out, so you'll be able to see them. We are looking at a lab environment right now. And I like to say that, for one, because the submissions that you're looking at are just test submissions. So there's no live data in here right now. And the other reason I like to mention it is because it tends to run a little bit slower in our lab environment. We shouldn't have any problems getting through and me showing the examples to you, but I just like to share that with you. And it's Monday morning. No, so we should be in good shape. So this is what it will look like, and it's very similar to what you're used to seeing in today in our rate quote application. We've got up at the top, just to talk a little bit about the navigation, we have our home. So anytime you're walking through an application or in the middle of anything, you'll notice that you'll have the home up at the top. And when you click back to that, it's going to bring you into this work in progress screen. We have a start new quote, which I'm going to show you those couple of examples that I chatted about earlier. So we'll use that link. We have the small business eligibility. So if you are interested in seeing if By class code, if an account was eligible for the straight through processing, you can click on this small business eligibility. So let me go ahead and click on that so we can see what that looks like. And again, there's a lot of different factors that go into this. There's going to be questions that are asked and different things. But if you just wanted to check the specific class code, you could type in the class code here. You'll select your state. So let's go ahead and say I'm going to enter a restaurant for Texas. I'm going to enter, we'll say August 1st and click check. And when I do that, you'll see there's a bunch of subcodes for Texas for restaurants, but you'll be able to see quickly which are eligible for straight through processing. Now, it doesn't mean that you wouldn't want to come in here and enter it and have it refer to the underwriter. But if you were looking for a straight through quote, you can go ahead and do a quick check of the class codes and see what that looks like here. We also have this help link up or help drop down up at the top. This is going to give you your underwriter's information. It's going to give you their phone number, a link to their email, so you can quickly contact your underwriter by clicking on that help at the top. We also have a user guide that will pull up, and it's going to share a lot of what I'm going to show you today. And then there's a video demo. So those are the resources after we hang up today, besides this video, that you'll have available to you: your underwriting staff, a user guide, and a video demo. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start by entering a Texas submission. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Start New Quote. It's going to ask me a question right here. Does your customer operate in multiple states? In this instance, I'm going to say no. And then I'm going to select the state that I'm interested in quoting. You can click, I just hit T just to kind of scroll down a little bit. You can, of course, use the scroll bar on the right-hand side. So you'll select the state that you're entering and click Continue. And when you do that, it should bring you right into your entry. So here we're looking at our agency, and you're going to see the navigation over here on the left-hand side. So we're on our first point of entry, and you'll be able to tell what tab you're on or what area you're in by over on the left-hand side, it'll be blue. And you'll see where you're actually entering the information. So this is going to go ahead and default to your agency. So it'll go ahead and default to the agency. The primary contact will be you, whoever's entering the submission. And then you can select an agent or broker. You'll have a drop-down list of eligible agents and brokers in your agency. If you don't see that individual listed there, you can click Other and enter their name. But you'll go ahead and select that and choose Next. You'll see here we move down. So now we're at the customer profile. So this is where we're going to enter the DBA here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start typing the name. And you'll notice as I'm typing the name, it's starting to pull information based off of that Google that we were talking about. So this is actually the one that I'm interested in entering. So I'm going to enter the corner restaurant. And when I select that, it actually pulls the address for me. We do have the ability to change the address, and I'll show you where we can do that. But it's going to go ahead based on that Google search and pull that address. So we don't even have to enter that at this point. If it's accurate, we're good to go. We'll keep moving along. If the legal name is the same as a DBA, I can click on that and you'll see it'll go ahead and populate for me. We're going to select our entity type and we're going to enter our federal ID number. Now, the really cool thing is if there is a website that's available that's connected to Google and a phone number, you'll see that it's going to go ahead and pull that information in for us. If it doesn't pull through and you have the website, you'll enter it there. Phone number, same thing. If the phone number or the website aren't the ones that you want us to use, notice that you can go in and you can click and you can make any changes to that information. But it will pull through for you. Operate in other states. We already answered that question. You'll notice that it's defaulted to no, but if for some reason you did mean to hit yes here, you can just select yes. You'll notice as we go through, a lot of the information, some of the information I should say, is defaulted because the majority of the business is where we've selected or we've pre-populated the information. So does the customer need USL&H? It defaults to no. Again, you can select yes here. Um, you're going to enter the years in business with workers' compensation. So how many years in business has this account been in business with workers' compensation? That is going to help in determining things like loss information. So it's never going to ask for more than 3 years of loss information, but it will so if I had put 2 here, it'll ask for 2, 1, same thing. If I put in 5, it's still only going to ask for 3. But again, it's going to look for loss information based off of this field here. Ownership and any other business, you would select yes here. If that's the case, you'll notice it automatically defaulted to no. And I'll keep plugging away. Remember, please answer or ask any questions you might have in chat, and we'll take a look at those. All right, effective date. You can enter your effective date here. I'm going to click tab, and when I click tab, you'll notice that it went ahead and populated to an annual policy. So 2025 to 2026, you can adjust that. So if you needed to, you can go back and enter those dates, but it did automatically populate for me. Employer's liability limits, we have it defaulted here. You can adjust it. Waiver of subrogation is set to no. You can select yes. Texas option, so medical network credit, if you're going to use, if the insured is going to use our medical network, it'll go ahead and select, or it populates to yes, but you can select no if that's not the case. And then we have experience rating. So here you're going to select whether or not the policy or the insured is experience rated. I'm going to go ahead and say yes here so you can see what that looks like. So it's looking for a NCCI risk ID number. So you'll enter that here. You'll enter the experience mod. And you'll notice that the experience rating is the effective date of the policy. That's generally the way it works, but please know that you can change that effective date also. And once you've got this page exactly where you want it, you can click next. Now note that you can go back at any point in time and adjust any of these just by clicking. You can go back in and make any adjustments or changes as you go through. So we've made it to the class code page, and this is where you can start to enter the class code description, or you can enter the number if you have the class code number. In this case, I'm interested in entering this restaurant. 9079, you're going to see a long list here. So you'll of course pick the class code that is most appropriate. And this one, I'm going to go ahead, 907911. I'm going to enter payroll. And I'm going to enter the number of employees and then click add. Now, if there are additional class codes, you would do the exact same thing. I would click right back up here, enter the class code, payroll, number of employees, click add, and continue. In this case, we just have one. You also can go into, you'll notice these are all fields that you can change. So, and then this red X will actually delete the class code. So if you entered it incorrectly, you can go in and make an update. If you entered it twice, whatever it might be, you can click this red X and it will delete the entry that you did. Go ahead and click next. Now, depending on the class code that you entered, you may have some additional things pop over here on the left-hand side. So for example, because we entered a restaurant, we have this group eligibility tab that popped up, and it's asking if this insured is part of the Texas restaurant owners. You would select one of the two here. I'll go ahead and say yes here. And then the other thing that popped up based on the class code was the operation description. So here it's asking for a more specific description of the operation. So we chose 907911, and then you're just going to select the one that applies to the policy that you're entering. This one is, we're going to say it's a restaurant with no delivery. And I'll go ahead and click next. Now, when we selected, when we did the check eligibility at the beginning, you can see that this class code is eligible. It's allowing us to continue, and it's asking for additional information. But if we had something that was ineligible as we're going through and entering, we would get a referral. So the class code is good to go. Based on the other information that we've entered to this point, this account is still eligible for straight through processing. So we're going to continue entering this information. And a lot of these class code, or a lot of these questions will look familiar to you. We have some core questions, and then we had some class code and Zenith questions up at the top. But you'll go through and answer these questions. And I'm going to skip one just so you can see what this looks like and click next. So you can see here that based on what I entered, there's a red exclamation point, and that just means that I left a field blank. So we'll want to go back in and answer that question, and I'll go do that in just a second, but I want to show you this loss history screen. So I had mentioned that on that first screen when I was entering the customer information, that was going to determine the loss history information, or what it was going to be asked of us to enter. And here, this is another checkpoint. So if this account that you're entering has not had any claims for the last 3 years, you can simply click note that they haven't had any and continue on. It won't ask any additional questions at this point. However, I'm going to go ahead and select yes here, just so you can see the data points and the things that are asked when you're entering loss information. So I'm going to go ahead and say that we did have just a medical only claim last year, and go ahead and enter that. So it's looking for those fields. And then for the last 2 years, 2023 and 2022, we didn't have any claims. So I just clicked no claims for this data range, and it went ahead and populated with all zeros. And then I'm going to go ahead quick here and click back to the underwriting. So you can see how easy it is based on the information that's being requested. We really tried to streamline it for you. So this is the question that wasn't answered. So I'm going to go ahead and click no here and click next. It did save my information, and you'll notice that that red exclamation point's gone. So we're good to continue. So it's okay. You can continue on even with that red exclamation point. However, if we go to bind the account, it will have you go back and complete that. So based on the information that we entered, we got a quote. We received a quote. And so you're able to pull up and view the quote details, which will look very similar to what you're used to seeing today. And then to continue on, we've got our payment options, our locations, ownership information, and all of that. So at this point, if I were to go back to the home page, maybe we don't have a decision that we're not going through completely yet. All this information that we've entered, actually even past that customer, once we pass that customer profile, is all now in your work in progress screen. So for some reason you logged out, need to log back in. Once you've completed each of the screens, like as you're going through, it will save that information. And instead of going in to start a new application, if you needed to go back, you would go into your work in progress screen. You could pull it up and just adjust what you've already input. So I'm going to pause here just for a second. I am going to go through and bind this account because I just wanted to show you the remaining fields that are required to get a policy issued. But before I do that, does anybody have any questions? Okay, and I don't see any in the chat, so I'll just go ahead and continue on. So here you're going to notice it depending on the policy that you're entering based on the premium, you're going to have different payment options that are available to you. In this instance, for this account at this premium, these are the eligible payment plans to select. You have to select from. So here you'll just go ahead and select the payment plan, and you'll also have EFT. So you can select EFT here. You'll notice when I said quarterly, it went ahead and direct bill, it went to no, but you can adjust that if you want. So go ahead and click next. Here's our main location. This is the one that it pulled from Google right from the beginning. You can go through and adjust this here. You can edit it. We have to go in and choose or enter the number of employees at this location. So we will always have to click here on the location screen and enter our number of employees at that specific location. You can edit the address here. You can add a location here. So anything pertaining to the locations for this specific account, you would enter on this screen. I'll click next. This is our contact information. We have to at least add one. So we have to add a contact to bind the account. So I'm going to go ahead and click add contact. This is kind of cool. You can go through and select if we have different contacts for different things at this account, you can select that here. So for example, if we have somebody that handles the claims and they're also the risk manager, we can select however many titles here that are applicable for this particular contact, and then just enter their information. You'll enter a primary phone number. If there's a secondary number, you'll enter it here, and then an email address. And click save. If there is no email address for the individual, you can click email not available. It will want you to do one of the two. So either entering it or selecting that checkbox. Very similar. You'll probably notice the navigation is very similar throughout the application. We can edit the contact here. We can delete the contact. We can add additional contact. All those fields are available for the customer contact. Owner and officer information. So enter the officer. We're gonna enter this president. 100%. We'll say excluded. If you have class code and payroll, you can enter that here and click save. Again, you can add another officer, edit, delete, and then click next. So now you'll notice you have congratulations. It's ready for binding. So at this point, there's a couple things I want to point out on the navigation. On the left-hand corner at the bottom, and it's actually, I should have pointed it out at the beginning too, it's available all the way through the quoting and binding process, the ability to manage documents. So let me show you what that looks like. So if you wanted to add a document, you would click on manage documents and then browse. And you can also, I say that you could click and drag. In this instance, I'm going to open and pull the file from my drive, but if you have the attachments on one computer, you can just drag them over and drop them in, if that makes it easier. And then you're going to select the document type. And then if you have a file description that you want to enter, you would enter it there. I want to show you that because when we're going through and referring an application, we are going to want loss runs and an accord application. So I wanted to show you what that looks like. But if you have other documents that you think are important for the underwriter to see, to understand the account or for processing, you would attach it here. So if we wanted another one, I would just click on browse, or I could click and drag another attachment over. And so once you've got all of that, taken care of, you can click close and it's attached those files for us. We also have contact underwriting. So you will, if you click on contact underwriting, it will be the specific underwriter that is connected to your agency, and you'll have their phone number and email address where you can send them an email or, of course, give them a phone call. And then view accord. So that based on all the information that we have entered, if you wanted to pull up an accord form with everything that you've entered, you can click on that too. And then once we're ready to go, and then you'll also notice, I'm sorry, a link up here at the top too. It says view and download full quote details. So if you wanted to pull up the account or the quote, actually, let's go ahead and click on that so I can show you what that looks like. So you'll see we're in the test environment. But here is our quote information. And this was also available to you back before I clicked on bind. So you have this pulled up and available if you needed to needed to print it out or share with the insured. It was available back on the quoting screen. So we have it in a couple of different places for you. So once we're ready to go and bind this account, we'll click bind an issue. Go. Here's the full quote details again, and you can also view and download the binder. Congratulations. Perfect. So that's what a straight through processing account looks like. If you were to go through and enter it. Again, we try to make things as easy as we could as far as an entry from the point of entry. Does anybody have any questions on what that looks like? Anything else I can show you there? Okay, good. I'm hoping it's because it's user friendly and you think that that's easy for the entry. So let me go ahead and jump in another one because I did share with you that I wanted to show you what it looks like to enter an Oklahoma account right now. And again, we're working on the straight through processing for Oklahoma, but it is set up to refer at this point. So let me go ahead. I'm going to say multiple states. No. Going to find Oklahoma in our drop down here and then click continue. I'll go through this one a little bit faster for you since you're probably more familiar now that we entered that last one. Okay, so back on the customer, I'm entering the account that I'm looking for. And I'm looking for, yes, the Red Rock Canyon Grill. I'm going to go ahead. You'll see there's multiple listed here. I'm going to pull this Tulsa one through. So it pulled the address for us. I'm going to say the legal name is the same as the DBA. I'm going to go ahead and select my entity type, federal ID number. It populated with the website and the phone number. These have defaulted again. Here, I'm just going to go ahead and we'll say 5 years. And this is defaulted here too. And like I mentioned, here's your contact, your underwriter, and your managed documents. Once I click next on this screen, it is saving it out. So again, if we were to log out and back in, when we come back in, we would go back to your home page and you would find this Red Canyon here, Red Rock Canyon there. We'll say this one is July 31st. Effective date. Again, you'll see some defaulting here. Here, this one you have merit rating and you have workers' compensation premium reduction program. They're defaulted to no for Oklahoma, but you can select yes if that's appropriate. I'm going to go ahead and say, well, let's go ahead and we will say that this one is NCCI, the experience mod. All right, so we're in the class code screen here. Let me go ahead and type restaurant just so you can see a different way of pulling up what you're looking for. So when I type in restaurant, any class code that has the word restaurant in it will appear. I could continue typing if I wanted to. I am specifically looking for 9082, but if I had kept typing and said NOC, it would have brought us straight to that one. I'm going to go ahead and enter the premium. And number of employees and click add. I'll click next here. Okay, so this is what a referral looks like. And you could possibly see this in Texas based on whatever it is that you may be entering. It'll give you the reason why it's referring and then allow you to attach some information to help the underwriter get what they need to continue to work and process the account. So if you come to this page, you can acknowledge that what you've entered is accurate at this time, and you can click upload documents. It is going to ask that you upload our accord and loss run. So I'm going to go ahead and say accord and loss run. And you, of course, can enter them separately. However you have them set up in your system, you can go ahead and enter just the accord and then the loss runs, however you need to do it. Hit close. And then I'm going to say refer now. Perfect. So now you'll see back to our work in progress screen that this one is in system referral status. And so as the underwriter is working through, you may see that change. Well, you will see it change once they've been, like this one right below it, for example, says under review. So it means that the underwriter is looking at the application. You'll notice other statuses, which are familiar to you today. We haven't made any changes to those. You can, of course, go in like this quoted one. If I wanted to go back in and edit it, or I was ready to bind it, maybe I left the quote and sent it to the customer to see if we wanted to continue. I could go back in by clicking on this actions button. Depending on the status the account's in, you'll see whatever is available at that time, or whatever the status is, and you'll be able to continue through. For my Zenith people, do you have anything else that you can think of that you'd like me to share, or anything that you would like to share? Any comments that you would like to make?
Just hope that you find it easy to work with. If you have questions on using the system, feel free to reach out to us. We can also schedule some trainings with the TMM, to come into your office or do a virtual session with more of your team. We'd be happy to do that as well.
Thank you, Felicia.
Just let us know how we can help you. We appreciate all of y'all taking the time to review this today.
Thank you, Felicia. Are there any questions from our agents on the phone? Anything else we could answer?
Do you guys take new ventures or businesses that haven't had insurance yet?
We do, yeah. So it'll depend on the class code, the operation, but we do consider new venture risks.
Excellent. Do you guys have any appetite guide resources that are available that you could point us toward?
Yeah, absolutely. Can send those over to you.
Thank you. I'm Elsa with Insurica. Do you want me to send my email in the chat, or?
That would be great. Thank you, Elsa.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Elsa. Great questions. Anybody else have any questions? Well, we really appreciate you. We appreciate your time today. It's one of those things that you go in, we showed you everything, but you, like Felicia said, you always have resources here at Zenith to reach out to. So I encourage you as you go through the system, anything that's taken you longer than you like, or just any questions that you have, reach out to your underwriter and they will be more than happy to help you with that. That's really all I had to show you today. So I thank you for your time. Like I mentioned, we did record today's session. A link will be going out when we roll out the system. And when these enhancements are available, you'll know, and you'll also get a link to this recording. But if you have any questions in the meantime, please reach out to your underwriter. All right. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Mary.
Thank you.